Ladies and gentlemen, we all know what it's like to feel trapped in negative thinking. It can feel like a constant weight on our shoulders, like we're stuck in a loop that we can't break free from. But the first step to overcoming this trap is recognizing how these negative thought patterns creep into our lives. These thoughts often begin subtly, disguised as everyday worries or fleeting doubts, but over time they can grow into something much more powerful. They become the lens through which we see the world, clouding our judgment and limiting our potential. The truth is, negative thoughts aren't always based in reality. They're often exaggerated versions of our fears or insecurities, amplified by our past experiences and unresolved emotions. They tell us things like, I'm not good enough, this will never work, or I always fail. These thoughts aren't facts, they're just stories we've been telling ourselves for so long that we start to believe them. But here's the thing, once you recognize that these thoughts are not truth, you can begin to challenge them. Take a moment to think about how often we let our minds wander to the negative. It's like a default setting. We focus on what could go wrong instead of what could go right. We imagine the worst-case scenario instead of the best one. But why do we do this? Well, our brains are wired to protect us. They're designed to anticipate danger and keep us safe. But in today's world, where real danger is rare, this tendency can work against us. Instead of being on guard against physical threats, we find ourselves on constant alert for emotional threats, even when they aren't real. Here's an example. Let's say you're about to take on a big project, whether it's at work or in your personal life. Almost immediately, your mind starts racing with negative thoughts. You might think, I'm not experienced enough, I don't have the skills, or what if I mess it all up? Those thoughts come quickly, almost automatically, because your brain is looking for potential problems. But when you give into these thoughts, you're creating a barrier before you've even taken the first step. You're allowing the negativity to define your reality instead of taking control of it. Recognizing negative thought patterns is empowering. Once you identify that these thoughts are not necessarily true, you can begin to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this really accurate? Is there evidence to support this belief? More often than not, you'll realize that these thoughts are based on assumptions, not facts. You might discover that you're more capable than you give yourself credit for, or that the risks aren't as big as you imagine. When we talk about overcoming negative thinking, it's not about pretending that challenges don't exist or ignoring the struggles we face. It's about acknowledging that the stories we tell ourselves don't have to dictate our reality. Negative thinking can hold you back, but it only has power over you if you let it. Once you recognize these patterns and begin to question them, you start to take away their power. So how do you do this? Start by becoming aware of your inner dialogue. Pay attention to the way you talk to yourself. Is it supportive or critical? Is it encouraging or limiting? When you catch yourself thinking negatively, take a step back. Ask yourself, what would I tell a friend who was feeling the same way? More often than not, you'd offer them kindness, encouragement, and perspective. You have the same ability to offer that to yourself. As you recognize these negative thought patterns and begin to challenge them, you'll find that your mind becomes clearer, your actions become more focused, and your confidence grows. Over time, this shift in thinking will change how you approach challenges, how you see opportunities, and ultimately, how you experience life. Negative thinking doesn't have to hold you hostage. It's just a pattern waiting to be broken. The more aware you become of these thoughts, the easier it will be to break free from them. Recognizing is the first step to freedom. When we start recognizing negative thought patterns, the next step is to change the way we view them. Shifting our perspective isn't just about ignoring the negative or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about transforming how we respond to those thoughts and emotions. So often, we let negativity dictate how we feel, how we act, and how we show up in the world. We assume that our fears and doubts are valid, and because of that, we hold ourselves back. But what if we could change the way we look at the situation? What if we could take those very challenges and turn them into something powerful, something that drives us forward? Changing your perspective is about reframing your thoughts and beliefs. And it's something anyone can do no matter where they are in their journey. Let's take a moment to really think about that. When faced with an obstacle, we can either see it as a roadblock or as an opportunity. We can see it as something that's happening to us, or we can choose to see it as something that's happening for us, a chance to grow, to learn, to evolve. The difference between those two perspectives is everything. Let's look at a real example. Think about a time when you faced a setback, a failure, or a challenge. Maybe you didn't get the promotion you were hoping for. Maybe a project didn't go the way you planned. In that moment, the first instinct is often to get discouraged, to let the disappointment settle in, and to believe that this failure is a reflection of your ability. But that's where the shift in perspective comes in. What if instead of feeling defeated, you could view the setback as a lesson? What if you could learn from it, extract the wisdom, and use it to do better next time? What if instead of saying, I failed, you said, I've learned something valuable? That's the power of reframing. The reality is we all face challenges. They're part of life. But what sets apart those who thrive and those who struggle is the ability to see challenges not as permanent failures, but as stepping stones to something better. A challenge doesn't mean you're not good enough. It doesn't mean you should give up. It simply means you're being given the chance to improve, to grow stronger, and to develop skills that will serve you in the future. This shift in perspective also involves looking beyond the immediate disappointment and focusing on the bigger picture. When things don't go according to plan, it's easy to get caught up in the frustration and the fear of what might happen next. But often, the things that seem like setbacks in the moment are the very things that lead to future breakthroughs. Maybe that failed project helped you realize a new approach, or maybe not getting that promotion pushed you to pursue a career path you never considered. We often don't see the full picture when we're in the middle of a challenge, but over time, we can look back and realize that it was exactly what we needed to move forward. Changing your perspective also means letting go of the need for perfection. So many of us are paralyzed by the fear of making mistakes, the fear that if we fail, we'll be seen as incapable. But here's the truth. Perfection doesn't exist. No one achieves success without failing, without falling down, and without learning from those failures. Embrace the idea that mistakes are not only okay, they're necessary. They are part of the process of growth. And when you start to view mistakes as stepping stones rather than obstacles, you free yourself from the fear of failure. You free yourself to take bold actions, to take risks, and to pursue your goals with confidence. The key to all of this is understanding that you have control over how you see things. You get to choose how you react to challenges, how you interpret setbacks, and how you move forward. If you let negative thinking control your perspective, you'll stay stuck in a cycle of fear and self-doubt. But if you choose to see obstacles as opportunities for growth, you'll begin to unlock your true potential. The power of shifting your perspective is that it opens up new possibilities, new ways of thinking, and new ways of acting. And when you do that, you move closer to the life you've always dreamed of living. When you begin to shift your perspective and challenge negative thoughts, the next powerful step is building emotional resilience. This is where the real transformation happens. When you develop the inner strength to bounce back from challenges and setbacks, no matter how difficult they may seem. Emotional resilience is not about avoiding tough times or pretending that everything is fine when it's not. It's about learning how to navigate life's challenges with a sense of strength, flexibility, and courage. Life is full of ups and downs. We all face obstacles, disappointments, and moments when things don't go the way we hoped. But the way we respond to these moments can either keep us stuck or propel us forward. Building emotional resilience allows you to handle adversity with a mindset that empowers you rather than drains you. It's about understanding that difficult times are temporary and that you have the power to rise above them. One of the first things to recognize is that resilience doesn't mean you won't feel pain or frustration when you face adversity. It means that you have the tools to move through those feelings without letting them control you. It's natural to feel upset when things go wrong. It's normal to feel discouraged, angry, or even defeated. But emotional resilience allows you to acknowledge those emotions without letting them define you. It's the ability to feel the emotion, process it, and then decide to move forward, knowing that you are not defined by your struggles, but by how you choose to respond to them. There's a powerful idea here. Resilience comes from the belief that no matter what happens, you can handle it. This doesn't mean you'll never feel vulnerable or that you'll never experience moments of doubt. What it means is that you trust in your ability to figure things out, to learn from your experiences, and to grow stronger as a result. Resilience is about knowing that setbacks aren't permanent and that you have the capacity to bounce back, often stronger than before. So, how do you build this kind of emotional resilience? It starts with developing a mindset that embraces challenges as opportunities. Instead of seeing problems as roadblocks, view them as chances to test your strength, learn new things, and develop your skills. Every obstacle you encounter is a chance to prove to yourself that you can overcome it. And with each challenge you face and overcome, you build more confidence in your ability to handle whatever comes your way. Another key aspect of resilience is self-care. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle and grind of daily life and forget to take care of your emotional well-being. But resilience isn't just about mental toughness. It's also about knowing when to take a step back, recharge, and nurture yourself. Taking care of your physical health, practicing mindfulness, and having time to rest and reflect are all important aspects of building emotional resilience. When you are mentally and physically well, you're better equipped to handle stress and challenges when they arise. A big part of resilience is also about having a support system. People you can lean on when things get tough. No one is meant to go through life alone, and it's important to surround yourself with positive influences who will encourage you, lift you up, and remind you of your strength when you're struggling to see it yourself. Whether it's a close friend, a mentor, or a family member, having people who believe in you can make all the difference when you're facing tough times. Resilience also involves cultivating a sense of optimism, even in the face of difficulty. Optimism isn't about ignoring the challenges or pretending everything is fine. It's about maintaining the belief that things can get better, that you have the ability to make progress, and that this moment of difficulty will pass. It's about looking for the silver lining, even when it's hard to see, and trusting that you have the strength to overcome any challenge in your path. The more you practice emotional resilience, the easier it becomes to handle life's inevitable ups and downs. You begin to see setbacks not as failures, but as lessons, opportunities for growth, and proof that you can handle whatever comes your way. You develop a deep sense of trust in your ability to move forward no matter how tough things may get. Emotional resilience isn't a trait you're born with, it's something you build over time. And the more you nurture it, the more you empower yourself to navigate life with strength, courage, and confidence. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to build resilience. And the more resilient you become, the more you realize that you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to. As we talk about overcoming the trap of negativity, we have to address one crucial element: taking consistent action. It's one thing to recognize negative patterns in your thinking, and it's another to shift your perspective and build emotional resilience. But none of it truly matters unless you take action. Action is the bridge between where you are right now and where you want to be. Without it, even the best intentions, the most powerful mindset shifts, and the strongest sense of resilience will amount to nothing. Taking action is where the rubber meets the road. It's the difference between dreaming and doing. The reason most people stay stuck in negative cycles is because they don't take consistent, meaningful action toward their goals. It's easy to get paralyzed by fear, to wait for the perfect moment, or to fall into the trap of overthinking. But the truth is, action, any action, is better than no action. And here's the key: action doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be grand, it just has to be consistent. The first thing to recognize about taking action is that it doesn't require you to have everything figured out. So often we wait for the perfect plan, the ideal circumstances, or the right time to start, but the reality is that you'll never have everything figured out before you begin. Life doesn't work that way. Success doesn't come from having a perfect blueprint, it comes from starting, from making mistakes, from learning as you go, and from adjusting along the way. The most successful people are the ones who take imperfect action. They understand that growth happens in the doing, not in the planning. Now, let's talk about overcoming that fear of failure, because I know that's one of the biggest reasons why people hesitate to take action. We've all been there, afraid that we might not succeed, afraid that we'll look foolish, afraid that our efforts will fall flat. But here's the thing: failure isn't something to be feared. It's something to be embraced. Failure is simply feedback. It's a stepping stone on the path to success. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the more you learn, the more you grow. Every time you take action, you're gaining knowledge, experience, and wisdom that you wouldn't get if you stayed stuck in the planning phase or the thinking phase. When you stop fearing failure, you open yourself up to real progress. It's also important to remember that not every action has to be a giant leap forward. Sometimes the smallest step can have the biggest impact. It's about making progress, not waiting for perfection. If your goal is to get healthier, for example, taking a walk around the block today is a step forward. If your goal is to write a book, writing a few paragraphs every day moves you closer to your goal. If your goal is to build a successful business, taking one step, whether it's making one sales call or reaching out to one potential client, moves you in the right direction. The key is consistency, not perfection. Taking consistent action also means committing to showing up, even when it's tough. It's about doing the work, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're exhausted, or even when you're facing setbacks. It's easy to be motivated when everything is going well, but the real test of your character and commitment is when things get difficult. That's when you need to push through. The action you take when things aren't easy is the action that propels you forward the most. It's that grit and determination that separates the successful from those who give up. Sometimes the hardest part is simply getting started. The initial step toward your goal can feel overwhelming, but once you take that first step, momentum starts to build. You start to see that progress is possible, and that's when you start to feel more confident. And as your confidence grows, so does your belief in yourself, your abilities, and your goals. Taking action builds that positive feedback loop of momentum, and momentum is the key to achieving anything you set your mind to. The simple truth is this: if you want to create change in your life, you have to take consistent action. You can't wait for the stars to align or for the perfect circumstances. You have to start where you are, with what you have, and move forward. The actions you take, no matter how small, are the seeds that will grow into the future you want to create. Now we need to explore one of the most critical components of this entire process: the importance of gratitude. Gratitude is more than just a feel-good practice. It's a powerful tool that can shift your entire mindset, bringing you into a space of abundance rather than scarcity, opportunity rather than limitation. So many of us get caught up in what we don't have, what we've lost, or what we feel we're lacking. It's easy to focus on the gaps, the things that aren't going right, or the struggles that seem insurmountable. But when you start practicing gratitude, you begin to shift your focus from what's missing to what's already present. You start looking for the good, even in the toughest of circumstances. And when you do that, your entire world changes. Gratitude is about taking a moment every day to acknowledge the things you have, the blessings you've already received, and the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. It's about intentionally noticing the positive aspects of your life and shifting your focus away from the negative. And here's the beauty of it: when you practice gratitude consistently, you start rewiring your brain to naturally focus on the positive. It becomes a habit. The more you focus on what you're grateful for, the more you see things to be grateful for. It's like a snowball effect. The more you notice, the more you find. What's truly remarkable about gratitude is that it doesn't require a perfect life or perfect circumstances. You don't need to have everything you want or everything figured out to experience gratitude. In fact, gratitude can often be the very thing that helps you move through difficult times. It's easy to feel hopeless when things aren't going well. It's easy to think that nothing is working in your favor. But when you take a step back and acknowledge the things you are grateful for, whether it's your health, the people who support you, the opportunities you have, or even the small wins you've had along the way, you create a shift in your energy. You start to see that even in the face of challenges, there is so much to be thankful for. Gratitude is also a powerful antidote to negativity because it forces you to focus on what's working, not just what's going wrong. When you're constantly looking for things to be grateful for, you train your mind to notice opportunities, solutions, and positive aspects of every situation. Instead of feeling stuck in a negative loop, you begin to see pathways forward, new ideas and creative ways to solve problems. Gratitude creates an abundance mindset, one where you believe there's always enough, always room to learn, always room to grow. It's easy to underestimate the power of gratitude, but the impact it can have on your life is profound. When you're grateful, you're not just changing your thoughts, you're changing your entire emotional state. Gratitude brings you into the present moment. It grounds you. It pulls you out of the cycle of worry, stress, and negativity, and it centers you in the reality of what you have right now. It reminds you that despite the struggles, you are already blessed with so much. And here's something important to remember. Gratitude doesn't mean you ignore the challenges in your life. It doesn't mean pretending everything is perfect when it's not. It simply means that even in the midst of difficulty, you choose to focus on the good, you acknowledge the struggles, but you don't let them define you. You choose to focus on what you can control, what's already going right, and what you can build upon. Gratitude becomes a catalyst for resilience and action. It fuels your ability to keep moving forward even when the road is tough. The more you practice gratitude, the more you begin to see how much control you really have over your thoughts, your emotions, and your life. You begin to realize that by choosing gratitude, you are choosing abundance. You are choosing to see the possibilities, not the problem. In the end, the simple act of being grateful for what you have right now has the power to transform your life. It can pull you out of negativity, open you up to new opportunities, and help you build the life you want, one moment at a time. Gratitude is a choice, and it's a choice that will change everything. When you've made the shift in perspective, built emotional resilience, taken consistent action, and embraced the power of gratitude, the final step in overcoming negativity is creating a lasting sense of fulfillment. It's about understanding that your journey doesn't end with achieving your goals. True fulfillment comes from the process itself, from growing and evolving as a person, and from aligning your actions with your deeper purpose. This is the point where you realize that success isn't just about reaching a destination, it's about how you live, how you show up, and how you feel about the life you're creating along the way. Far too often we think that fulfillment will come when we achieve that big goal, the promotion, the financial freedom, the perfect relationship. But the truth is those things are only temporary markers. The real fulfillment comes when you can look back at your life and feel a sense of pride, peace, and satisfaction in the person you've become, not just in what you've achieved. True fulfillment is rooted in living a life that aligns with your values, your passions, and your purpose. The key here is understanding that fulfillment isn't something that happens by accident. It's something you have to actively create, day in and day out. You don't wake up one day and simply feel fulfilled. It's the result of consistent choices that reflect who you truly are and what you truly want. This means aligning your actions with your core values and being intentional about the way you live your life. One of the most important aspects of creating fulfillment is learning to find joy in the journey. So often we become fixated on the destination, on the end result, that we forget to enjoy the process. But here's the reality. The process is where all the growth, all the learning, and all the magic happen. If you can learn to embrace each step of your journey, you'll find fulfillment in every moment, not just at the finish line. Whether it's the small victories, the lessons learned through failure, or the moments of personal growth, every part of the journey has something to offer. This means shifting your focus from external markers of success to internal fulfillment. It's about finding joy in the small things, in your work, in your relationships, in the moments of peace and contentment you experience throughout the day. Fulfillment comes when you are fully present in the life you're living, when you appreciate the richness of each experience, and when you're able to find purpose in the simplest of actions. It's not just about achieving things, it's about living in alignment with your authentic self, embracing who you are, and doing what truly matters to you. Another critical aspect of creating fulfillment is understanding that you are enough as you are. So many of us get caught up in the idea that we need to be more, do more, or achieve more in order to feel worthy or fulfilled. But the truth is, you are already enough. Your worth is not tied to your accomplishments, your possessions, or your social status. It's inherent in who you are as a person. When you realize this, you free yourself from the constant chase for external validation and success. You stop looking outside yourself for fulfillment and begin to realize that fulfillment comes from within. One of the most powerful ways to create lasting fulfillment is by giving. The simple act of helping others, sharing your gifts, and contributing to something greater than yourself has the power to transform your own sense of purpose and satisfaction. When you shift your focus from what you can get to what you can give, you unlock a whole new level of fulfillment. This isn't just about giving material things. It's about offering your time, your knowledge, your compassion, and your support. When you live with a mindset of contribution, you create a ripple effect of positivity and fulfillment that extends far beyond yourself. Finally, fulfillment comes from embracing a life of growth. It's not about reaching some static point of perfection. It's about continuously evolving, learning, and becoming the best version of yourself. True fulfillment comes when you're committed to growing and challenging yourself, when you're open to new experiences, and when you're constantly working to become a better version of who you are. The process of growth itself brings a deep sense of fulfillment because it's about progress, not perfection. When you reach this point in your journey, when you realize that fulfillment is a process, not a destination, you stop looking for external answers to internal questions. You begin to realize that fulfillment is about how you live each day, how you show up for yourself and others, and how you live in alignment with your deepest values. This is the ultimate key to overcoming negativity. When you align your life with purpose, gratitude, and growth, negativity can no longer hold you back. It's replaced with a sense of fulfillment that drives you forward no matter what challenges may arise.